how do you handle all these rumors? These rumors like Stephen A. wants to run for president. You go to Kalshi, Rob, if you want to pull it up. I mean, you look at this Kalshi report on who is the leading Democratic candidate for, president for 2028. You see the name all the way at the top, Rob, if we can start off. Of course, the great Gavin Newsom from the state of California doing a phenomenal job. AOC, Kamala Harris, Josh Shapiro. You got Whitmer, who's wearing a nice red jacket. Buttigieg, Wes Moore. And then you have Andy Bashir. You got a few other names. And then you see Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith ahead of Rahm Emanuel, Mark Kelly, Cory Booker, Mamdani, Jon Stewart, Stephen A.
Oh.
Are these just rumors? Like, there's people here with money. Should they go to Kalshi right now, set aside a little bit of money if Stephen A. Smith's going to run in 2028? What do you have to say about that?
That's their choice. What I would tell you is that I'm serious when I say that I'd consider it. If somebody came to me and said that you've got a legitimate shot to win or whatever, I would definitely consider it. But the reasons are very, very simple. I think our country's in trouble. I think there's too many people that are thinking about themselves and are not thinking about the American citizen. And I don't think that there are enough people legitimately being called out. And see, for me personally, it's not being an elected official. It's not running for office from the standpoint of, well, you know what, I have all of these policies that I think would work for America, and I think that you should listen to me instead of them. I think our politicians have sold us out. I think that they've really, really done tremendous damage to this country. And more so than actually being in office, the reason why I don't poo-poo it definitively is because I cannot tell you how badly I would love to be on the debate stage against these politicians, to go up against them, and for them, with me standing on stage next to them, try to explain and justify what they have done to cause the division that they have caused in this country. Black, white, Hispanics, Asian Americans, the list goes on, and you got to a point where, whether it's the LGBTQ community and then you add, the transgender community to that, and some of the decisions that they made, the things that they've said, the things that they prioritized. I dare them to be on a stage with me and explain how you could justify prioritizing those things ahead of affordability, ahead of safety in the streets, ahead of safety with our borders, et cetera, et cetera. That is the reason that I haven't completely shut down. I like my life. That is totally true. I've got a great, great job, no doubt about great jobs. I'm doing pretty well, and I intend to do even better in the future. But they are really, really lucky that I'm just building my coffers now. They're lucky I don't have that money lock, stock, and barrel where I never had to worry about my quality of life ever again. Because if that were the case and I had that much money in my coffers, oh yeah, I would run because I believe I would beat them.
You believe you will beat them?
I believe I would beat them.
And Stephen A.,
anybody, the people that you showed on that list?
Yeah.
I'd beat every one of them.
Stop it.
I believe I would.
You'd beat everybody on that list?
I believe I would.
Okay, that's, all right.
Let me say this, though.
Please.
I'm a fan of Wes Moore, governor of Maryland.
You've spoken very highly of him.
I'm a huge fan of Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. So maybe I'd omit those two because I look at them and I say, I'd rather you have them than me. But Kamala Harris, I don't think she'd beat me. Gavin Newsom, not with what I know about California. Hey, he ain't beat me. He not I don't have a record. And it's almost unfair to him from the standpoint, I don't have a record.
Yeah.
He does, but I'm in California a lot. I know what I've seen in that state. Ain't no way in hell you beat me in a debate to justify that state. And what we're seeing, no way in hell. No way. Republicans are a different matter because I think Marco Rubio is the real deal, more so than J.D. Vance. But on the Democratic side, which is where I would be, I believe I'll shove aside Wes Moore and Josh Shapiro. I believe every other name you put up there, I'd beat them.
How do you address AOC? How do you go after AOC?
Easily. What's your record? You don't really have one. You've been in Congress for a long time. What have you done? I respect her heart. I respect her being a conscientious participant. But in the end, it comes down to what you've done. And the reality of the situation is if it wasn't for you supporting Mamdani, we'd still be asking, what have you done? At some point in time, if you're an elected official, it's about what you've done for your constituency. It's about what you've done for the American people. And for the Democratic Party, which, listen, like I've said before, I'm not going to waste everybody's time getting into all of this other stuff. Most of the time I vote Democrat. We all know that. I've said that. I've argued with Vinny and Adam and everybody about that, and rightfully so, because they've had their questions about that, all legitimate questions, you too. But in the end, when I look at what they did leading into the 2024 election, it wasn't about Donald Trump winning. It was that the country said, we can't have this, not with what the Democrats are doing. Donald Trump, at age 78 at the time, was closer to normalcy for the American people than the Democratic Party, who lost its damn mind. And as far as I'm concerned, they still haven't gotten it back.
Really? So, okay, so let's stay on that. You said Rubio Vance. You like Rubio more than Vance.
Yes.
Why is that? Why Rubio? Because
I think Rubio's the adult in the room. I think J.D. Vance tries to engage in Trumpism as per se. There's only one Donald Trump. Love him or hate him, there's only one. He is who he is. He talks the way that he talks. He feels the way that he feels. He articulates the way that he articulates. Fine. Too many people tried to be him. I think that's what hurt Ron DeSantis. When Ron DeSantis was talking about running for the president, he was trying to run the presidency, you know, you were getting out of character because you were trying to emulate the behavior of Donald Trump. You were trying to out-Trump Trump. That wasn't going to work. And I think it ultimately cost him, which is why he went back to the governor's seat and just stayed there. I think J.D. Vance, although he's smart, I think he's one of those guys that's trying to be a populist. Marco Rubio is a senator who's now the Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, knows where all the major players are, knows who they are, knows how to communicate with them. I think when you talk about somebody who's going to be the adult in the room, I think Marco Rubio is that guy for the Republicans. The Democratic side, there are people that could do the job if they have a centrist perspective, where they prioritize the economy, they prioritize affordability, they don't forget the importance of safety in the streets. But that person who's resonated nationally, the Democratic Party is devoid of right now. They don't have anybody like that, which is where I'd come in.
There's massive opportunity there for somebody.
Yeah, it
coming.
is.
I'm sure you saw what Chris said. Cuomo, he said he believes the 2028 candidate is going to be a name that's not a political name, that's going to be an outsider coming in. And I think 2020 is going to be wide open. I think so many people could get in that nobody's even thinking about right now. Behind closed doors, they're plotting their next moves. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.